and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Bros Who Think Network. In this video, myself and Lyn Reg will be reviewing the Christopher Nolan epic, the Christopher Nolan biopic, the Christopher Nolan masterpiece, Oppenheimer. I'm joined by my guy, Lyn Reg, as usual. Reg, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Look, we needed a day to digest Oppenheimer. We had a
Facts.
long day yesterday. We were going to record this yesterday, but
no, we were going to record that after we finished Oppenheimer, but it's a 3-hour movie. We saw it at 10 o'clock.
Which is a horrible time to pick.
Honestly, I'm not upset that we picked that time. I liked it, and I'm glad we went at that time because it showed me something. But we didn't get out till 1. But to say we went at 10 o'clock, the theater was filled. Just to put it in perspective, Reg and I saw Flash together, right? We saw Flash together.
Yeah, we saw Flash, yeah.
Flash was nowhere. It was empty. It was like 10 people. This, they had the entire top of the theater.
No one wanted to sit in the bottom, yeah.
Literally, I don't know if people were like, when I say the top, I'm talking about the entire section. And
whenever you walk in.
There's a walkway with 2 rows below for the front of the theater. I wasn't looking down there, but the entire top half from beginning to walkway was packed. To say this was a biopic, to say this was a World War II history film, it was packed. But that goes to show that event filmmaking directors can still carry a movie. I would say that Nolan, Tarantino, Scorsese are the 3 directors right now, because I can't even put Villeneuve in that category. They're the 3 directors that all you have to say is these 3 guys are directing it and people will go see it. I don't know if Villeneuve is there yet, because I don't think Villeneuve can put out a history film and people will watch it. Whereas if Tarantino did, Scorsese did, Nolan did, people are going to watch it. People went watch the Scorsese film about the priest, and they were like, damn, this shit suck, but they still wouldn't watch it. So that's where Nolan is. But we're here to review Oppenheimer. Here's a quick summary, because we're going to dive into the story beats. We're not going to go scene by scene, because obviously it's not something that we can watch over and over. This isn't running back. So here's the plot really quickly, and then we'll get to what we got to get to. Oppenheimer is a 2023 epic biographical thriller film written and directed by Christopher Nolan, based on the 2005 biography American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. The film chronicles the life of Oppenheimer, a theoretical physicist who was pivotal in developing the first nuclear weapons as part of the Manhattan Project and thereby ushering in the atomic age. Oppenheimer is known as the father of the atomic bomb, as well as he is known as the man who flew too close to the sun. This is a spoiler review, so for those of you who don't want the spoilers, you should get away really quickly before we do the spoilers. Give us your non-spoiler thoughts, Reg.
I'll say that this is a movie you don't want to miss in theaters. And I'd say that this is probably the closest we're going to get to a masterpiece of a biopic, where it really shows like the duality of man and how even though you can do everything in your power to help, sometimes things always don't go your way in the long run.
My non-spoiler thoughts are, this film, like Reg said, is something you have to see in the theaters. It just feels better. Nolan made this for the theaters. The sound, the inside, seeing this on a big screen while having the surround sound hitting you, it won't feel the same at home. It won't feel as grand.
It definitely won't.
It won't feel as epic. The tension might not even be there. I'm sure at home you will have some, but when you're in the theater and you're inside of the world, you are at the edge of your seat the entire time. And for this to be a majority talking movie with 0 fights and where it's just dialogue, Nolan did a masterful job of making this feel epic, of making talking scenes have action. They were jousting with their words. It was absolutely impeccable. And I'll say this in the non-spoilers part, this easily cracks Nolan's top 5. This is one
his
of
top 3.
Honestly, and it falls in my top 3 Nolan films.
Yeah.
And I can say this now. This is the best written Nolan film. This is the best story by Nolan films. And this is that's as far as I go. Those are the 2. I can't say anymore. But because the other films like Tenet, Memento, Dark Knight, they do things better than this film, but in terms of overall story and overall story structure, and yeah, it's the best because Nolan is a person that doesn't like to use time, where time is just fluctuating, where he'll go back and forth. And I think this is his best version of going back, going forward, going back, going forward. Everything made sense. It wasn't like Memento where you have to watch it multiple times to understand where it's going. This isn't like Tenet where people thought at first it didn't make sense. No. This is a film that, with all the Nolan shit he does, this film makes sense from start to finish. Now, we're going to get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. If you don't want to get spoiled, leave. I definitely think you should watch the movie. Me and Reg both said that. Now let's jump into it. Reg, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts is this is Chris Nolan's greatest film he's ever made so far.
Look, I mean,
I love this movie.
It's in my top 3 with Memento and Tenet, and it's probably number 1.
I love this movie. As someone who took physics for 3 years in high school and 1 in college, like, I can tell you I have a deep understanding of Robert Oppenheimer, and I love that his story is told beautifully here. Because most times, if you ask anyone who Robert Oppenheimer is, they're just like, oh, he made the bomb and he blew up people, and that's it. And they don't know the full story of who he was. And this told his story perfectly.
I love the fact of how Nolan kept showing us neutrons, protons, electrons.
He got into the mind of what
the way that, like, when he showed Oppenheimer just sitting quietly and thinking, before he made the bomb, we got to see the things that led up to him making the bomb. Saw the wavelengths, saw electrons clashing, and he couldn't understand what he was seeing. And then as the film went on, that turned into a bomb. And then by the end of it, we saw the bomb exploding. And then at the very end of it, we saw it settle. So throughout the course of the film, to have pre-bomb, him seeing what he wants to make, but just in theory, while he's making the bomb, we see what's going to happen. And then after the bomb, we see the ramifications of the bomb. It was absolutely brilliant the way he did it. And man, Oppenheimer was a dog. You just think he was someone
he's just a scientist. Nah,
homie was smashing these thoughts out here.
Hey, he had Florence Pugh, baby. That's
not just her. He took it Florence Pugh. He had Emily Blunt, and then the whole time he's doing all of this, having an affair with the top scientist wife. Like, this dude was wild. He was doing his thing. But
Oppendogger, bro.
You have to give Cillian Murphy huge praise.
If he doesn't win Best Actor at the next Oscars,
this movie doesn't work without him. There's no one else who could have played Oppenheimer. And I watched some interviews. He believes in what's the word I'm looking for? Like Daniel Day-Lewis and Jared Leto, method acting.
Yeah, where you have to call him Dr. Oppenheimer on the set. The whole time he ingratiates himself into the world.
He was Oppenheimer from the moment they did their first table read until they finished filming. He did not. Anytime anyone saw him, he was Oppenheimer. He committed, and you can tell just his facial reactions throughout the film of where everything was. It was beautiful. The way that he showed his heartbreak, his excitement, the way he showed his fear. It was absolutely amazing. And it goes to the scene where and the scene that captivates this the best is when he finds out that Florence Pugh committed suicide, and he's on the side in Los Alamos. He's in like the forest, sitting by a rock, crying, shivering, and Emily Blunt grabs him and tells him, you don't understand. You can't be down right now. It's not just you have to worry about. The entire world is relying on you. And got to give Emily Blunt praise, because to me, that's the most impactful, emotional scene of the movie. Because at that point, it's like Oppenheimer realized this is bigger than me. I believe up until then, he was like, oh, I'm just doing this for me, becoming a great scientist. But at that moment, he realized, no. Emily Blunt made him realize this is about the world. You need to take this shit serious.
Yeah, because you have to understand, whenever they were in the beginning stages of Los Alamos, they really thought they were just
theory.
They were going to do a bunch of science and win a Nobel Prize, and that was it. They weren't going to ever have to use it. And then it got real.
He was never worried about the practical aspects of it. It was always
he's a theoretical physicist.
But
he never did math.
It was this character. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up because I got the IMDb pulled up so we can have the entire cast, which was great, by the way.
The cast was stacked.
Hold Hold on, here we go. Where's this? Well, I'm shocked that he's so low. Josh Hartnett's Ernest Lawrence was the one who kept having to refer to him as like, yo, this isn't just theory, this is practicality. And they say in the beginning, it's a smile. They say it in the middle, it's like, when they say it at the end, it's like, yeah, bro, this shit, we have to take this shit serious.
Yeah.
So talk to me about wherever you want to go, and I'll just bounce off of you.
So do you want to go
before we do the categories, we're just talking about, overall actors and favorite parts of the movie.
I'll say an underrated actor that really got to shine was Ben Safdie as Edward Teller, who's a physicist who ends up creating the H-bomb later down the road, and how he was able to, despite not getting as much showtime as Oppenheimer and the other physicists in the room, everything he said mattered to Robert.
That was almost Robert's protege. That was almost the way that Albert Einstein to Oppenheimer was
Oppenheimer to Edward Teller.
Yes. And the relationship was beautiful. Also, the way that they portrayed Albert Einstein was beautiful. But this film, to me, comes down to two actors. It's a duel. And you don't realize it's a duel at first, because they slowly build it on, and you don't realize there's a twist. But the battle between Oppenheimer and Robert Downey Jr. was absolutely amazing. Yeah, so the relationship between Downey and Oppenheimer, Strauss, it was absolutely incredible, and you got to see that this was a battle of not just minds and not just ideology, but a battle for power. Oppenheimer at first wasn't trying to get power, but he realized once he made this bomb, he is now on the world stage, and it's about exerting your power and winning the minds of the people.
Yeah, and I'd also say that even though like they rarely see face to face throughout this, like they really never meet, Strauss and Oppenheimer. They never really meet together,
they do,
except for the conference. They really don't.
No, they meet in the beginning when he offers him the Princeton job.
Yeah, the Princeton job, and then the conference whenever. And then after that, they never really meet. And so really, it shows that two men who are both very brilliant, but go different ways to achieve their goals. Oppenheimer was all about, I'm going to do this for the science, and I'm going to do it for this. And then
Strauss was about power.
Strauss was, I need the power first so people can see my brilliance.
We'll dive more into Strauss when we talk about some of the categories. Another actor I got to give praise to is Jason Clarke's Roger Robb. Jason Clarke has been on a heater ever since Winning Time. The way that he portrayed the lawyer when they're doing Oppenheimer's trial to see if he can keep his security clearance to still be doing this major science stuff, he portrayed just the way that people talk about the man. He portrayed the man so well, as he knew everything he was doing was wrong, but it was his job, and he did it to the best of his abilities. Some of the scenes of Oppenheimer's trial post the bomb was some of the best scenes in the movie. And the duel between Emily Blunt and him was perfection. He was bearing every witness they had. There was no witness that could stand up. The only one that kind of did was Matt Damon. Oppenheimer didn't fight, but the whole time Emily Blunt's like, no, bro, you have to fight for this. They're doing you dirty. And Oppenheimer was like, he felt that this was his punishment for doing the bomb.
And so that goes back to at the very beginning of the movie, whenever they talk about Prometheus and how Prometheus, mythical figure, brings fire to the people and he's chained to a rock. And that's how Oppenheimer is meant to feel. He felt
that because he did the bomb, he deserved this.
He deserved it.
Emily Blunt was like, no, you did something. They executed what you did. It's not your fault. And the way that Emily Blunt jousted him in the discussion, the war of words, trying to prove Oppenheimer's innocence was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It was beautiful. And although, like, I could tell you this, whenever we first got out of the movie, me and Lyndon really didn't understand Emily Blunt's character, because we were like,
I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, look, to me, outside of the last,
you didn't like her. I liked her.
I was like, the last segment, I was like, she's a raging alcoholic up until the last segment, and then it got better.
But you got to understand that she was an alcoholic because that's the only
over
thing
time
she could cope with the shit Oppenheimer was putting her through. This man was cheating on her constantly. She had to live in Los Alamos, but she realized that it's
for a purpose.
He did love her. And he's a complicated man. And she was like, I'm going to put up with this the best way I can, and that was through the alcohol. Shit, she wanted to. You got to think. She's put up with this. She wanted to give up their kids. Oppenheimer was like, no.
Oppenheimer brought the kid, and then he said no. Yeah. So like,
she was great. Also, Florence Pugh, incredible.
Great as Jean Tatlock.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. This was the first time we saw sex in a Nolan film. I didn't know that dude knew what sex was, but he definitely did.
He captured it realistically this time.
He did. And the way that she portrayed communism and a communist at that time, I didn't realize how important it was in America to really
not be
to prove you weren't a communist.
Like, I know that like we kind of skip over the McCarthy era and American issue where we're just like, oh, they were trying to chase down commies and all that. People didn't realize that, like, if anyone ever said, like, your neighbor could say, oh, he's a communist, the government is actually come and get you, arrest you, and like,
and
you're finished.
You're up Shit's Creek.
And it's horrible for academics, especially at that time, like Oppenheimer, because they assumed anyone who was intellectual had to somewhat be communist.
And the thing was,
now granted, some of the people were actual communists.
Some of them were. But the way that I think the important thing was that you couldn't be an intellectual, because even if you wanted to research the idea of communist, you were a communist. And that's what the Emily Blunt trial portrayed really well. It was, they weren't communists in action. They were communists in studying the ideas of the thought. And you realize how much this time your rights of the freedom of thought wasn't there, which is crazy to see in 2023.
And we're kind of seeing the recycle of that, but that's for another time.
That's another conversation.
That's another conversation for another time.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get to the category?
I'd also like to say, I know we talked about Robert Downey Jr. and Oppenheimer being the two combatants. I'd also like to say the government as a whole was a big combatant in this whole story, because I know we kind of glossed over Matt Damon's role. Matt Damon was sort of bringing these guys together.
Let's get to Matt Damon. I think Matt Damon's character was great. Matt Damon's character represented the government as well, but then towards the end, Matt Damon realized that Oppenheimer's not so different from him, and it showed of how you could be the most conservative American and get along with the most liberal American. Well, I'll say liberal because he wasn't a communist.
Suspected communist.
Yep, Matt Damon did his job. Matt Damon did his job very well. Did his role very well, and I thought that his job as Groves, excuse me, not Graves. Wait, is it Graves?
No, it's Groves.
Yeah, it's Groves was great. I don't know why they don't have Matt Damon higher on this IMDb. Like, this is crazy. Like,
they have Jack Quaid ahead of him.
Leslie Groves as Matt Damon is essential to this film. And I gotta say, his partner, Dane DeHaan, Kenneth Nichols, was important as well. And they both did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, no, they did great.
I would also say, when you're talking about the side actors of the cast, I thought Alden Ehrenreich did a great job as the liaison to Strauss during Strauss's trial. We mentioned Jason Clarke. I would also mention his lawyer,
Rami Malek.
Oppenheimer's lawyer, Lloyd Garrison as Macon Blair, did a great job. Rami Malek as the whistleblower.
Dr. Hill.
The whistleblower was great. I think Kenneth Branagh as Niels Bohr, who at first during the movie, I didn't realize that was Niels Bohr. Like, really? I get out the film and I'm like, oh, wait, that's fucking Niels Bohr, one of the most important scientists of all time. And I think Kenneth Branagh wasn't in the film nearly, I can't even say 1/4 of the film, but his impact was felt throughout the film.
Yeah, because he influenced most of the scientists of his day. Yeah.
Any other actors you got that you want to mention of?
I'd say Josh Peck is here. I just like someone in the audience said behind my head, is that the dude from Drake and Josh? And I thought that was hilarious. And he gets to pull the button. He gets to press the button, which, I mean, cool for him.
At first, I was like, Josh Peck feels out of place, but Reg told me after the movie, don't be harsh on it. It was pretty. Yeah, he was average.
Well, I mean, but his role was just to press a button. Like, that was his role the whole time.
Like I say, Jack Quaid did.
Jack Quaid played the bongos. He was the heartbeat of the group. He kept everyone together.
I don't know if I'll say all that, but he did a good job in his role. Again, we talked about Josh Hartnett. I think Josh Hartnett did a great job. Roderick Rules, the guy from Roderick Rules.
He really got 1 second.
Yeah,
he really got.
And Nolan's going around saying, "Oh yeah, he has his moment." his moment is throwing up and having when Oppenheimer's going through his breakdown of seeing people from Nagasaki imagining what they went through. I think he did okay there. Also, I'd like to say David Dalsmashian always plays a villain in these superhero films, plays the skeezy, sketchy guy, and his role as William Borden set off all the problems for Oppenheimer because he was really conservative American, and if anybody was a communist, he was anti them. Along with Casey Affleck. I thought Casey Affleck did an incredible job as well as one of the generals who was tracking. He
had me scared. He had me scared.
You know
during that talk.
Do you remember the Jew hunter from Inglourious Bastards? How he was hunting down Jewish people?
Yeah.
Casey Affleck was the communist hunter, in my opinion.
Dog, he had me scared, and they were like, "Dude, they were like, he went back to Russia and caught the communists there."
Matt Damon was like, "You met with the wrong person.
Yeah,
this guy is a Russian who came to America to hunt down communists,
to go back to Russia and kill communists, and then
he went back to Russia to kill communists. Came back. His whole goal was to go across the world killing communists."
Yeah, dude, look, even though he only has that conversation with Oppenheimer, I was so scared looking into his eyes and him talk about how he's catching everyone.
And that shows just how good of an actor Casey Affleck was to be in it for one scene.
Gary Oldman as Harry Truman.
He forgot that was Gary Oldman. When Oppenheimer meets with Truman at the end, you could see how much Truman was an egotistical narcissist and was like, you didn't do this. I did this. I bombed them. That's me. And it was like, whoa, bro, you're excited about bombing these people?
Look, a lot of Americans were, but you got to understand the frame of mind of the American at the time, because I know we can see it from an outside perspective, but for them, if we were
the world was over.
The world would have been over. So
and I get it, but I look at it from the science perspective. Yes, we had to do it, but we shouldn't feel good about
it. We shouldn't feel good about doing it. No.
And that was the entire the message of the movie was war happened, but we shouldn't be excited about war. War is evil. And the fact is, we've unlocked a tool that can not just end countries, but end all of us. Yeah, and I think the theory that Albert Einstein didn't want to work on of
you're talking about atmospheric bomb?
If the bomb goes off, it can continue going off because of the atmosphere, and all of us would be done. I think that was the part of the movie that really hit home for me and showed how bad this shit really is. Yeah,
and it really grounded it, because most people just think, we dropped the bomb and nothing happened.
No.
But people didn't realize in the moment, if their theory came true, none of us would be here.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't even be doing this review. We wouldn't.
We wouldn't be able to have
the world would have been over. It would have been over back then. Also, I know some people may be like, "Oh, where's the black people?" I know some black people may be like that, but you have to remember this is a period piece, and if he would have put black people in there, it wouldn't have been real.
There were only a handful, but
not enough to make a difference. Where it wasn't there was one black scientist that truly helped, how in Hidden Figures you needed those black women to get to the moon. That wasn't the case in this.
Yeah, but that's just how 1940s America was at the time. True. So you really can't say anything about it.
Anything else you want to get to before we get to the
categories? I think we could jump straight into categories.
All right, let's get to the categories. What would you say is the best scene?
The best scene, I'd have to say, is when right before they drop the bomb.
Okay.
Right before they drop the bomb, and they're taking bets. And I love how the guy comes in and he says, "I'll bet my whole salary that this doesn't work for a month." And then you can see Oppenheimer, because in his mind, it's 3 years of my work could be down the drain if none of this comes true. And I love that. You can really see in his eyes. Yeah,
that was a great scene. I already said my best scene is when Emily Blunt sits down and grabs him and is like, "You need to realize this is bigger than you. You can't crumble at this point. No matter how sad you are, no matter what's going on, you have to be level motion and go all the way. If you want to take your anger out, take it out with me behind the scenes. But when you're there, these people rely on you, and you have to be on your P's and Q's." Any other scenes you want to mention that just deserve some praise, some honorable mention?
It's really two scenes, but it's the same thing. It's when Oppenheimer goes and talks to Einstein, and they're talking by the pool, by the pond, and you get to understand that like what you saw in the beginning, really, this is what happened. And he tells him, you have now given people the power to destroy the world many times over.
I have two, Jason Clarke and Emily Blunt's Duel of the Words, which in the trial of Oppenheimer. And then this is one we haven't mentioned, Strauss's breakdown after when they come in from Rami Malek being a whistleblower and they have to close the blinds because all the media is hearing what he's saying, and how he just, at this point, he realized he's lost. He has nothing to lose. I'm just going to bitch and moan and say my piece. And Alden Ehrenreich at that point stops respecting him.
Yeah. And you could see that slowly, bit by bit, he stopped respecting him because he started to piece together, this is what Strauss was really doing.
Yep. All righty. There's no best fight in this movie. So who's the winner of the movie?
Wait, like as an actor or as a character?
You could do either one.
Okay. As an actor, it's Cillian Murphy. Because now Cillian Murphy, as an actor, it's Cillian Murphy. As a character, I'd say, who's a winner? I could also, because I can't say Oppenheimer because in the end, he's destroyed. I mean, really, well, I mean, in the story, no one wins, but that's tough.
I have mine. It is Teller. It's Benny Spade's character.
Yeah, Edward Teller, because he gets to invent the H-bomb.
He gets to do his goal, and without him, they aren't able to make the normal atomic bomb, because you got to remember he told them how to do the triggering mechanism.
Yeah.
So I have Teller, but actor-wise, since you went with Cillian, I'm gonna go with Safady again, because I think Safady showed that he's not just a brother duo director. No. I can be one of the best actors of all time, and I see him going down the route of Gary Oldman, of some of these incredible characters that he can dive into and be one of the better character actors.
I'll agree.
Now, loser of the movie, who you got?
Loser of the movie.
I got Strauss.
Yeah. Strauss takes the biggest L, but a niche loser is Jean Tadlock. Despite being, Florence Pugh, she did end it all because Oppenheimer had to go give the world the power to destroy itself. So, I mean, and also I don't like how, but I understand that was how their real relationship went. How Jean didn't love Oppenheimer, but still wanted him to be there. And Oppenheimer loved her so much that he was going to still be there.
Bro, when she was throwing away his flowers, I was just like, damn.
I was like, stop.
Like, let it go. And you can't. And as for her, it's like, oh, now you want him to pay attention to you when he wanted to make you? No, ma'am. You can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Sorry.
She's the niche loser. The big loser is Strauss.
He had to move on with his life. He had to let it go. Like she was saying to him, oh, no, I just want to be fuck buddies. And he was like, no, I want a real relationship. And she was like, not about that. So when he moved on to Emily Blunt, that was perfectly acceptable. But now she was like, no, now I want you. It's like, no, it's too late.
Yeah.
Way too late. So I'm glad you chose Florence Pugh's character as a loser, but I got Strauss.
Strauss is
the entire movie. He schemed for something to happen.
He did all this.
And then when it's time for him to get his reward of the scheme, he fails.
Also, another thing, to build up, to create this elaborate scheme to ruin Dr. Oppenheimer just to become the Secretary of Commerce is it's crazy. That just shows how deep people were willing to go to acquire that little bit of power.
But see, it wasn't just power, it was pettiness.
It was also the pettiness.
Because he was upset that Oppenheimer embarrassed him in the council in front of all the scientists.
Yeah, because
he held that for 10 years.
He held that for a long time. Yeah, he held that for a long time.
That's wild.
A 12-year grudge just because someone made a joke about your science.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really not that bad of an insult.
All right, let's get to best actor / actress. It's one category. We're not saying it's not just men and women. No, men and women can go together, but it's who's the best.
Cillian Murphy.
So Cillian Murphy's mine as well, but I'm gonna go with a backup because me and Reg were talking about this. We expect Cillian Murphy to win Best Actor at the Oscars, but Best Supporting, I got Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. is my best actor in the movie because Cillian Murphy has never been through something that Downey has, in the sense of Cillian has done high level acting from The Dark Knight onward. You could say Peaky Blinders, but Peaky Blinders, it was high level acting. Yeah, it was
Prestige TV.
Downey has not done high level acting.
No, he's been a superhero
entire time, from Iron Man to Sherlock Holmes. He has done franchises. The only one you can say that wasn't in that time was The Judge, but The Judge wasn't the best of films.
And Robert even admitted that he forgot how to act. Yeah, forgot how to act until he took on this role.
And act at a high level. Because he didn't feel that, the MCU isn't acting at a high level.
Yeah, because you can see it as just, I'm filling this role for this character that anyone could fill. Whereas you have to create who
it's just him being himself / obnoxious, reading what Kevin Feige wants from him.
Yeah.
So it's not like that wasn't acting, where he embodied Strauss.
And it shows that he still has.
Oh, it shows that he's one of the best actors of all time. Like, I think if Downey doesn't go through his addiction phase, Downey could have been up there with the Leos. Like, Downey is special, man. Like,
it's just sad that, he
just was Iron Man. He was just Iron Man and had an addiction problem. So,
because I say, if Robert didn't do Oppenheimer, I was just gonna call him another Johnny Depp.
Honestly, you could say Johnny Depp's better than him, because at least Johnny Depp has some
he has some prestige stuff too.
But Oppenheimer puts Downey in the category of like Tom Cruise, where Tom Cruise could do a blockbuster, but Tom Cruise still has Magnolia. Now Tom Cruise isn't doing it.
Tom Cruise isn't doing nothing.
It was in the beginning of his career, whereas Downey, he did the blockbusters for the beginning, and now is doing the Prestige. So it's kind of like Downey's reverse Tom Cruise in a sense.
Yeah, and you'll see that. Yeah, I'll agree.
And so, who is the sixth man of the movie?
So who are our starters?
Our starters. Okay, so we got to go Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Who's the fifth? Who would you say was in the film the most? Like, because those four...
the prosecutor.
You'd say Jason Clarke?
Because if he's not, I'm gonna say he's the sixth man.
But I don't know if I could say Jason. Like, those four people were in the film from the beginning to the end.
Remember, the interrogation free flows throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. Let me look at the cast list really quickly. Let's see how Nolan has it listed. Let's see. So Cillian, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Would you say Florence Pugh?
But I mean,
she was in the movie for the whole time.
She was in the movie. She was in the movie for a good bit. You want to say she's the five?
She's the other starter. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, who's your sixth man?
Oh, Jason Clarke.
I'm going with Benny Safdie as Edward Teller.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah,
Benny Safdie was incredible, but to your point, Jason Clarke was incredible.
Jason Clarke. Yeah, he created a political show trial, and he kept the same energy, tension, and he made a lot of those spaces throughout the film tense.
Yeah, he did.
You wouldn't think that there'd be tension, and then you just hear him investigating over you. Yeah,
and to that point, the way that Benny Safdie embodied Teller was just as impactful as Downey or Cillian Murphy embracing Oppenheimer. And I just think of the scene where Teller's sitting there, puts on the sunscreen on his face, puts the glasses,
and he just throws the glasses.
But you see how he grows from that bright-eyed scientist to where, oh no, this is a chase for power. And he goes to shake Oppenheimer's hand in the trial. He shakes it. Emily Blunt's like, no. And then when they reconvene, because Albert Einstein tells him that someone else is going to pass you up, they won't respect you, and they'll just give you an award as like, here, thanks for what you did.
You did good stuff in the past.
And that's when Oppenheimer gets his, and Teller is basically Oppenheimer to Einstein. And Teller goes to give Oppenheimer a handshake. Oppenheimer accepts it, and Emily Blunt does it. And in that moment, Teller realizes, damn, I really did some fuck shit, and walks away. So that's why I'm going with Benny Safdie. All right, let's get to the score. The rating.
Wait, like the music?
No, the rating.
I was going to say Ludwig Göransson killed it. Just by the way, side note,
job. But the rating 1 through 10.
This is I wrote it for Cinemark just before coming on here. It's a 10 out of 10.
Wow, nice.
It's a 10 out of 10 film. It's a perfect movie.
I'm going to say, just because I don't like to say perfect movies, I'm going to give it a 9.6, highest rating we've done so far. 9.6. It is absolutely incredible. I can't really point out things that I could say that would make it better. To Reg's point, why he says a perfect movie, I just don't like to give out 10s. Actually, I'm gonna do 9.7, because I'm gonna go as close to perfect as not.
Yeah,
but I'm going 9.7. Reg went 10.
Yeah, I'm having a good time.
Absolutely phenomenal. Next thing when we do, I think me and Reg will do a Nolan ranking system next week. So we do these on the weekend. So next week around Sunday, expect a top 10. Well, no, actually, we'll rank all the Nolan films and we'll give you our ranking. But Reg, tell the people where you want to be found on social media.
You can find me on Instagram at Reggie.Rito, and I'm currently creating a letterbox, so I'll be able to plug that maybe next time.
All right, so be on the lookout next week for Reg and I doing some movie talk when we do our ranking of the Nolan films. Until then, y'all have a good one. Oh, you follow me at LynBWT, follow BrosWhoThink at BrosWhoThink. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube because this is, actually, I'll put the audio out for this. So, or subscribe where you ever get podcasts as well. But until next time, have a good one and peace.